Hey everyone, welcome to our second Tonkocast.
And Zen dropped the gum.
Keep it professional, please. Zen, all you have to do is just stand there and look pretty.
We invited. Start over. So we invited Zach and Matteo. Who are Zach and Matteo?
Zach and Matteo, I would love to say, is our composers. They've done music for your short Sketch Travel. And The Dam Keeper.
Amazing score.
And we can say amazing because they really brought, we could appreciate it for what it is, what they brought, and
people compliment more about not ourselves.
Not to pat ourselves on the back, right?
No, people comment more positively about the score than the movie itself.
It's true.
Oh, at least as much. I mean, the score is so beautiful.
Yeah, and most recently they composed the music for our latest short, Moom.
Yes, which is
very
incredible
exciting
too.
Yeah, very exciting.
They're also a part of this amazing indie band called Phox.
Phox. Very coincidentally, has nothing to do with Phox, our character in The Dam Keeper. But yeah, that's a pretty exciting coincidence.
They're so amazing. If you haven't listened to their music, you have to listen to them. It's amazing. Love them.
And in this podcast, I actually wasn't here. I was off having a baby.
Slacking off.
Oh yeah, having a baby. Yeah, you call it slacking off. I call it making a family. But yeah, so I got to enjoy it as audience.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here it is.
Okay, so today we have our exclusive composers. Well, I shouldn't say, but then the composers that we always worked with on The Dam Keeper and our next short, Zach Johnston and Matteo Roberts. Thank you so much for coming to Tonko House today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
So I met Zach, and Zach and I collaborated on this kind of a promotional animated short Sketch Travel. You did the score, and you and I worked the story together. And I really just love the collaboration part of it. I mean, you're not only an amazing musician, but you're a filmmaker, so it was very unique to kind of work with someone like you. So when we started The Dam Keeper, Robert and I said, okay, what if we just work with Zach again? And then Zach, you were already moving back. You already moved back to Wisconsin. That's where you guys are from.
Yeah.
And then you brought Matteo on as your composing partner.
Yes.
And you guys worked on The Dam Keeper.
Yes.
So both of you are from Wisconsin,
Baraboo.
Yeah. Baraboo, sorry.
It's funny no matter how you say it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Dam Keeper score, I have to say, out of all the compliments we got about the film, but we feel like we got more compliments about the score than anything else about The Dam Keeper. So how did you, when did you pick up music, especially film composition type of aspiration?
I didn't until you asked me to make something for you. I had been mostly doing folk songs, pop folk, and it wasn't until you came along and I think Jeremy, our mutual friend, showed you a song of mine, and you asked me to make some music for you, and then I just tried it, and that's me. So my background is always never really classical. It was just like folk songs, making little bands with my friends growing up and making videos, but score composing was just kind of just out of necessity because you asked. But this guy has a different background.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, I grew up with classical training, but I never learned composing or that aspect of it. So I was sort of in the same boat in that when he asked me to help him compose the music, I'd never done it before. I mean, only for myself, maybe, just kind of playing around, but I'd never actually tried composing something for someone else's use. or for other instruments and players. So, I mean, I guess to some degree you could say that the band, maybe there's a little bit of that there. But for the most part, it was also kind of my first real try at it. So a lot of performance training, that was mostly where I came from, was like learning how to perform piano and those kinds of things. So it was new grounds for me as well.
I mean, what's really unique about the process that we had during the Dam Keeper was that you guys came on pretty early in the process. So it's not like we did the movie and just asked a composer to come in to just put a music in the background. We really kind of included you guys to be a part of this filmmaking process, in a way storytelling process. How was that for you guys? Almost that we asked you to be just as much filmmakers as composers.
I love it. It's a lot more work, but it's so worth it, because then the film and the music become intertwined in a way that that you can't separate them from each other. And I felt privileged that we were able to collaborate that early in the process. I remember in particular on the Dam Keeper getting the scene back where all the light comes back after the dam has been fixed, and it was timed to Matteo's like improvisational piano take that we did, and that was amazing. So I've never really scored anything to Locked Picture before, and I don't know that I would want to. It's kind of fun. It's definitely more work, like I said, you have to problem solve a lot more as the cut changes, but yeah, it always, so far these last two times, I think not only could we notice, being people that worked on the project, but like Mark Wilshire working on it could tell as well that they were woven together. So I love it.
Yeah, it's more work, but I think the end result is so worth it. And I think our music editor made a comment that it's pretty rare to find directors that will let musicians get their hands dirty so early on, because they're being protective of their story and the musicians are being protective of their time. But I think that when you kind of fuse it together, you get a much more interesting result.
Yeah, we love, especially when you guys actually try to, in a way, influence our story through your music. There's, whenever you guys have this kind of pushback or even like encouraging a certain direction that we're going for by just adding your musical kind of touch, it does make our story process much stronger, we felt. At least the Dam Keeper was like that, and in our next short, Moom, definitely proved to be like that too. I don't know if it's something you can do with anybody. I just want, it seems like you guys were interested in film. Zach, you went to film school.
I did.
Right?
Yeah.
So part of that also is interesting that you grew up playing music and you are a musician, but at the same time you're a filmmaker. And so you were already you were interested in making films, and even animated films you were interested in, right?
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to be a director, but I've always done music my whole life, and a lot of my early 20s was about those two things fighting for attention, or me not really sure how to reconcile the two. So when it came time to score a film, it was kind of amazing because I got to use my skills as a director and my skills as a musician and put them into play at the same time. So it's really fulfilling to do that. It's really amazing, because I think I was saying this to you the other day, but when I am scoring the film, I'm just pretending that I'm directing it. And then I'm just doing what I think I would want to do. So it's like the music is really utilitarian in that sense, but it's no less passionate because of that. But I really have no ego about the music being necessarily a certain way. I just want to make it stick to the scene as well. It's actually funny because Matteo is like a pure, incredible musician, also a great storyteller. But one time I noticed while we were working on the film that whenever we're both working, he's always looking kind of into space, and I'm always looking at the film on the laptop. And I'm sure it changes occasionally, but like I think that's kind of our strength, is that he's like making sure the music is just good in a vacuum, and I'm always watching the picture.
Well, I'm gonna come back to the Dam Keeper a little bit later, but then let's talk about your band, Phox. First of all, the name Phox, is it a pure coincidence?
Yes.
More or less, yeah.
The fact that you guys did the Dam Keeper score, where one of our main characters is Phox, it's a strange coincidence.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought that was just kind of calculated, which is totally not the case. You guys had the name even before we started the movie, right? And
yeah, that was a total coincidence.
it's a strange coincidence. And then what's really fun about it, we talked about this before, but the success of Phox with, I don't know if we have that equivalent success with the Dam Keeper, but you know, the successful journey of the Dam Keeper also kind of went around the same time. You guys kind of started hitting, you know, the indie band kind of a sensation in 2013. And 2014 is really the year of Phox, we felt like. And, you know, the Dam Keeper definitely started hitting that sort of festival route, you know, in 2014 too. When is the point where you guys felt like, oh my God, we're actually making it, we're actually doing it?
I mean, there's a significant change at South by Southwest. We were surprised by all the attention that we got there.
That was 2013 South by Southwest.
Yes.
Yeah. I think as the kind of idealistic or stereotypical thought of going to South by Southwest is you go and you play, and then someone famous or important sees you, and then you made it, and which never happens, actually. No one ever experiences that. But oddly enough, that is exactly what happened to us. Granted, I can't say that we've necessarily made it, but yeah, it was a huge turning point, because up until that point, we were playing in coffee shops, like, on the weekend. We were primarily just living together and wasting a lot of time together, playing video games or walking around Target, or you know, that was like the primary objective, was that, and then music just kind of happened once in a while.
Yeah, it wasn't we were not ambitious now. No. Well, one of us was, Matt Holmes.
Yeah, true.
He was secretly ambitious and controlling all of us, and he still is to this day.
Wait.
Every move I make is.
So South by Southwest, you know, I remember reading an article, a magazine, one of the magazines, I forgot what magazine, but there are multiple magazines that picked you guys as the next big thing, you know, and that was really fun to see for us too. But then, how did that feel? Like, you know, like going from really nobody to become like overnight, like indie star, a rising star at least.
Without, at the risk of sounding ungrateful, it doesn't make any difference. Like in your day-to-day life, you know, touring is very hard. You make very little money, and you still wonder, kind of like, you still worry about your career or what you're gonna do just as much. I think you still think about the future just as much, because it's like kind of like a little adrenaline rush for a second to see it in press, but then, you know, that fades away. And you realize it's just kind of like a fleeting sensation. And then often, and what happens, as I'm sure you guys know, is tons of people see that stuff and they're looking at press and all these things, and it kind of gives people this fantasy in their mind of that your life is a certain way, but in actuality, it's not like a glamorous thing at all. Not to say it wasn't like wonderful to have these experiences, but it's certainly the feeling of like getting written up about in the New York Times or something is really cool, but it's, you know, it's really exciting for a day or two, and then
day or two. Well, let me ask you this though, like, you know, soon after you guys performed at Apple iTunes Festival in London, which I believe is a huge deal for musicians.
Yeah, it was pretty big. It was really intimidating.
So it's not like it just kind of went away. That you guys just got on this ride of successful indie star, kind of rising star kind of a journey, I felt like.
Well, we got there because our management managed the Lumineers who were playing, and so they just had us open up for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a case of just like kind of being connected to the right people.
Mm-hmm. Which there's a decent amount of that.
Which, yes, I'm sure you guys know, there's a lot of that in the industry too. It's just being connected to the right people. So that was actually funny because I mean that was a cool experience, but I couldn't help but feel like when we were there, like there was a lot of other bands that deserved to be there more than us. Having been like a local band, played South by, and then it's like opening up for the Lumineers just felt like a little much.
How did that feel for you, Matteo? Like you were one of the younger members.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all felt really crazy, honestly. I feel like the only way that I've been able to keep track of anything that's happened is like my going back, retracing my footsteps through my social media, like going on my Instagram and just like scrolling through my photos and being like, oh my God, what have I done? So, yeah, I don't know. It's been a big blur. But yeah, I think to sum up, it's just a big roller coaster ride. Like there are so many extremes that happen so quickly.
Yeah.
Like we always joked, that like one day we would be eating like a 7-course 5-star dinner with, you know, a record label president or a famous, you know, artist or something. And then after that dinner, we would be fighting over a hot dog on the floor at a gas station, driving back to the hotel. You know, like that's kind of how it is. It's like every day is so different. And like sometimes it's like all of our accounts have $0 in them for 5 days. And then, you know, all of a sudden we're playing on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. So it's like, and those things are happening pretty much at the same exact time.
My perfect story. Day after Conan, it was amazing. Such an incredible feeling.
So before you get into that though, like you guys played at Late Show, Conan O'Brien. I remember watching that. That was huge. I mean, that's like huge, right? That's not even like a regular musicians get to do it. Like it's a huge deal.
No, yeah. I mean,
and watch, like we're jumping up and down, just cheering, like, you know, all of us. And then obviously that's like from outside, it's a very successful kind of first year for the indie band, just on the verge of becoming a major. Like that's how it looked like. And then your story.
I was sitting on the runway the day after Conan with the whole band. We're in like one row, like a big family, and we're about to take off for Iceland because we're going to play Iceland Airwaves, and then we're going to go tour Europe. And I was sitting on the runway and like feeling really excited, and then I got 2 notifications on my iPhone, and one was from you saying, "Hey guys, the Dam Keeper made the Oscar shortlist," and the other notification was from my bank, and it said that I had -$10 in my bank account. And I took a screenshot of it, and I was like, yes, this is it.
So you're saying that the day after this amazing nationwide successful debut on the Conan O'Brien show, and then in the same morning where I texted you saying the Dam Keeper got shortlisted for Academy nomination, you looked at your bank account and it was -$10.
Yes.
How is that even possible? Like we thought you guys were already like celebrities, and you know, Academy nominated movie you scored, and the indie band that just became huge, you know, played in London, played in Late Show. It's just the reality of the life of a musician. Is that it?
kind of, yeah. I mean, there are different ways to do it, but as far as kind of keeping a band with many members afloat, it's just really hard, and especially at that level, because there's like that kind of awkward growing phase for bands at that stage where you're gaining notoriety and people know the name and they recognize your face maybe and they know your music, but you're still in this growing phase where you're actually not really making money, and there are a lot of startup costs too to producing a record and touring and all that. It's so expensive to kind of maintain that image and to keep that trajectory going. So it sort of becomes just a but yeah, so I think yeah, it's easy to have the appearance of like wild success and being recognizable, but the reality is that it's really expensive to do those things, and yeah, I don't know.
We had the same thing. We had the same view of you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
We were touring all in a van, and like when we get back into the hotel after the show or the next morning, me and Matteo would just be like, "Oh, do you see we won another festival?" Or you know what I mean? We'd be watching Tonko House from the outside, and then the Oscar, and we were seeing pictures of you guys at the award ceremony and everything. And
we're like, they're billionaires.
we were like, they're millionaires. I was like, they're in the top level now. It's like they're gonna get a better score composers, but we had a great run.
Yeah.
But like we had the same thing from you guys, and part of this I think just like what's beautiful about social media is you share your accomplishments and stuff. But yeah, I guess it's up to you what you want to like portray or whatever. There's always the two sides to everything. There's like how it's running and everything. But yeah.
Well, what's really, I feel like there's what's fascinating to me about that though is, and of course the reality is harsh, right? That, the same thing with Tonko House. Robert and I haven't had a personal income since we left Pixar because it's this amount of time we have to invest into the future of this company. It's not just about making money. And to me, that's the key. Like, you can't do this if you're only worried about making money.
Right.
But reality is you have to support yourself and family. I have a kid, mortgage, and all that stuff too. But at the end of the day, there's something more that's driving you. So for you guys, obviously with the massive success with your first album, Phox, the same name as your band name, what's keeping you guys kind of going with your passion towards music and filmmaking and all that?
I think a big thing is that as you said, all the things that we have done are incredible and are really rare. I mean, 99% of musicians will never get to experience the things that we experienced in the last few years. So I think kind of having armed with that knowledge of like, oh, we do have this very rare opportunity in front of us, like, and I think there is also definitely plenty of artistic drive where, Monica, our songwriter, is actually starting to feel a little more comfortable in her skin with writing songs, and everyone's feeling a little more comfortable with arranging and the process. So I think there is also like this drive to kind of like, we felt like maybe we just got lucky and we tricked a lot of people into liking our music the first time around. So I think this time around it's kind of like, all right, let's see if we can actually like really deliver what we want and mean it, and hopefully kind of prove to ourselves like, okay, we are worth it to some degree, I guess.
I am going to do this stuff regardless if I make money at it or not. Like I just kind of have a compulsive need to create music and film. So, and I really don't have, I've had a couple freak out moments where I go like, oh man, like I'm wasting my time. What am I doing? I'm kidding myself. Like, what should I do instead? I should just get a job. I have no other skills. Like, I don't. Like, I've been making movies since I was 10, and editing and music. Like, I just literally haven't invested in anything else. So I think this path is literally the most secure path for me. I can't do anything else.
That's awesome.
So I really believe in that. And I think that, we could go get jobs and make money, and that would be great. But it's just I would definitely always have a hole in my heart for what I didn't try. I would rather fail at doing what I love than succeed at doing something I don't like, which I think is some popular quote. But I really feel
so now we asked you guys to collaborate again with us on our second film, Moom. And it was a challenging sort of journey. Oftentimes we always think the second time gets easier, but it's not the case. And I don't know if you could talk about how this journey of composing a score for this short film, Moom.
Well, like The Dam Keeper, we started scoring it very early in the process, just to story reels and 2D drawings that eventually turned into 3D, really basic 3D stuff. But it took us a really long time to nail the world, the tone, because the world of Moom is very abstract. It's kind of this interesting purgatory almost between life and death or something like that, that it was kind of up to interpretation. You guys didn't really say, this is exactly what it is. You kind of let us have our own feelings about it, which I thought was really cool. So it took us a while to get the tone right, quite a while, but I found it was a domino effect. Once we started getting the tone right, more and more scenes would make sense, and eventually all clicked. It was the scenes that were smaller that were harder to get right. Some of the bigger cues I found easier, the big emotional stuff, but it was the detail work that was the challenge, and where we had to grow as composers.
Yeah, it's easy to imagine and realize kind of like extreme moments, but when there's really subtle emotions running through, you have to be a lot more careful with that. I think you have to be very delicate with those scenes. It's easy to blow them over one way or the other. So those were the ones that kind of really gave us a little bit of trouble. But yeah, I think once we kind of got into the groove of it, the world kind of filled out and things came into place more naturally. So,
and I think you guys are kind of rare talent, and this is where, our music editor, who is probably more experienced out of all of us, on this project, who worked on Lord of the Rings trilogy as a music editor, and Hobbit, all the Peter Jackson movies, recent Peter Jackson movies, and he worked with Howard Shaw quite a long time, and he knows the best of the best in the world, and he was very complimentary of your work, and that was really rewarding for me to hear.
Yeah, I don't know, it's amazing. I was just so happy that he kind of brought it up unprompted and said, you guys must work early in the creative process. You guys must kind of go through a long process together when you're making this music and working on the film. So he could recognize the difference with us being brought on early, which I think really speaks a lot, because the fact that he could kind of notice from an outside perspective, like a totally outside perspective, that there was a unique collaboration was really exciting to me. And yeah, I don't know.
Hearing him be complimentary about our attention to story, as well as like how rough our demos are, he preferred that, which is like, we're embarrassed about how rough our demos are, because we create our music like in GarageBand, off the click track, not programmed. We actually like play it all, and we thought that was kind of amateur, but it turns out that Mark actually loved it because there was more expression in the demos, and then therefore more expression for the conductor and him going forward. So it was cool. It was really, I feel again really privileged to get to work with someone of his caliber.
When we, did the recording, and you guys flew out here to Berkeley to be at the recording session, it was so nice to see the familiar faces, Mina Choi and her orchestra, Magic Orchestra, they're back, and then her musicians, more than half of the musicians were the same players who played for the Dam Keeper, and they all remember. It's such a fond memory from the session, 2-3 years ago. How was that, like seeing them like 3 years later again, and now performing your music again? I mean, it must have been incredible.
Yeah, it felt like a family reunion or something like that. And it was cool because we had worked together already on The Dam Keeper, we could all sort of anticipate each other's tendencies, and we know how to work with people. Like, I was terrified of Mina during the Dam Keeper sessions because she's so powerful and knows what she's doing and is so classically precise. And I just kind of like stayed out of her way during the first one. Not that she's, menacing at all, but during this one I was more familiar with her. and it was cool to see the same players come back and remember and have the same fondness for these movies. It's kind of like everyone left with this notion that like we should get together and do this every few years.
Well, the score seriously came out beautiful. It's different from The Dam Keeper, obviously, but one of the best moments who reacted to your music was, my son Senju, 3-year-old son, listened to one of the Moom songs for the first time, and he said, "The Dam Keeper," and that was crazy. How 3-year-old could recognize your signature style, although the music is very different. So thank you so much for that. I just want to wrap up this podcast with what's next for you guys. So Zach, you actually left the band recently.
Yes.
And you are on your own to pursue your next career. Matteo, you are on to writing the next album with your band members for Phox, and that's super exciting to your huge fans. And obviously, both of you, we hope to kind of continue working, on the Tonkocast projects. So yeah, let's talk about that each. Matteo, if you could start, what's next?
Yeah, so we're kind of in the middle of the writing process for the band, working on a new collection of songs. So I'm going to return home and get back to work on that, and the hope is to finish writing and recording sometime this winter, and then hopefully have an album out by sometime next, I don't know if late summer or fall or something like that.
Super exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting because everyone's I think has their outlook on what they can contribute and what is the potential of with this band, and how they can all contribute is growing, and everyone's sort of gaining a little confidence, and so hopefully we can have some more direction and produce something that we really, really love. So there's that, and then of course hopefully we'll have some some music projects together, and then it's mostly just hanging around until you guys can assign us our next film with you guys. That's I my wife joked that we are Tonko House owns us. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So so
we
yeah,
need that in writing.
I know.
Yes,
But yeah, I mean, truly, I will anxiously await the next Tonko House project once, because what am I going to do with myself when we get done writing the album?
You're gonna drive cab.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No, Dam Keeper feature. Okay, Zach, what about you?
While I was in Phox, it was hard for me to make films when I was touring, so I have kind of a backlog of short films I want to make, some music I want to make. So I'm just gonna spend 2016 kind of getting all that out of my system, and getting back to directing.
Yeah, so it's just so you know, listeners, that Zach is first and foremost a filmmaker. You went to film school, you made a lot of films already. Not many people know, but the beautiful music videos of your band Phox, a lot of them are shot by you, and that got so many people's attentions. And then tell me a little bit about that festival you had in Wisconsin, Eau Claire.
Oh yeah.
That's like supposed to be a pretty big deal for indie bands, and you guys debuted this 45-minute kind of a mockumentary style film that you shot, right, Zach?
Yeah, it's called Amor Fati, which is Latin for love of one's fate. And it's a 45-minute fantastical movie that kind of charts our entire experience as a band. And the basic storyline is just about us getting from Baraboo, our hometown, to Eau Claire to play the festival, but through that sort of adventure, it has documentary sequences intermittently that tell our story and our highs and lows as a band. So that'll be coming out pretty soon online.
Well, we're so happy that you were able to come to Tonko House and share your stories with us. Thank you so much, and we really hope to continue working with you guys, making films and whatever together.
We are forever grateful and feel the exact same way.
Yep.
We can't believe that you guys choose us over and over to do these, so thank you.
Cool. Thank you guys.
It was great, huh?
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was really fun
Okay,
too.
so we will play one of the songs that they composed for our short Moom.
Yeah, we haven't released this anywhere.
First time.
So this will be a one track from Moom,
Amazing.
released with this Tonkocast.
Here it is.
And please enjoy.